Good evening, everybody. January 18th. Yes, this is the 18th. Oh, yeah. I should know this date. This is Breakfast Soup Raw. I am Don Tony, as always, and drawing along with me is...
Anthony Missionary Thomas. What's going on there, DT?
Nervous. A lot of you know this already. Tomorrow, I'm getting vaccinated. The first of 2 shots. Getting the COVID vaccine around 3:30 in the afternoon. Got to get a good night's sleep tonight. Got to get my mind in check, and it's going to be a pretty wacky day tomorrow. So for our Patreon family, if you're around tomorrow night, you know, barring some serious side effects, I will definitely document it and let everybody know how everything went. I mean, I'll post it on social media as well, but I don't think I'll be able to shoot any video. You know, those video clips on the news of people sitting in the chair and almost crying with joy that they got the vaccine. Something tells me if I whip out the phone, I'll probably get thrown out of the building, you know. But let's, before we talk about Mania,
Okay.
before we talk about Ryback, Mark Henry, before we talk about whatever we're going to talk about tonight, that ending of Raw tonight. Now, look, I got to preface this with this statement. Mish and I, and a lot of you out there, have said Alexa Bliss is killing it in this character. She has done a fine job. I cannot complain about her whatsoever. I have liked her pairing with The Fiend. And this is nothing against Alexa Bliss tonight or Asuka. But WWE jumped, this is just my opinion, jumped the shark tonight. They are very lucky that those were LED screens and not thousands of fans live tonight. Because Asuka's career is not going to be damaged in one night. But this, I could honestly tell you, I hated this more than Britt Baker's waiting room segment. To have Asuka show all of this fear throughout the night, I thought was asinine. And then you have the commercial break, they come back, and the worst part about it is Alexa Bliss gives a shoulder tackle to Asuka, and the announcer's like, I don't know what I'm seeing here. They're whispering. Why are they whispering? Because people are staring at each other. What the fuck is wrong with this? And then Asuka with a flurry of offense at 10:59. Just to have Alexa Bliss put her in Sister Abigail. And Alexa Bliss, because I know they want the dramatic appearance on TV of her. And meanwhile, while that 3 or 4 seconds is going on, look at Asuka. Asuka looked like this.
Right.
Paralyzed. The worst of goofy horror films were never as bad as this. I mean, this was worse than a cheesy horror film. I hated it. I thought it was awful. WWE officially jumped the shark tonight with this, and they are goddamn lucky they did not have live fans in attendance, because no matter how much they like Alexa Bliss, they would have shitted all over this tonight. What'd you think about it?
WWE has no fucking clue what the Alexa Bliss character or Asuka is all about. They're the ones that are writing for them, and they still have no idea what these characters mean. I cannot fathom for the life of me why in the hell Asuka is afraid of Alexa Bliss. It's not as if Alexa Bliss has always been the spooky bitch. It's not like she's always been a part of the Bray Wyatt thing. Asuka's kicked the shit out of Alexa Bliss on multiple occasions. Why is this all of a sudden something different? Why is Alexa Bliss different now? Because she wears black lipstick? because she has a talk segment where she sits on a thing. It is garbage. And to allow Asuka, the tag team and the women's champion, to cower in fear of Alexa Bliss is a joke. It's an absolute friggin' joke.
I expected this tonight to be the most awful segment of Raw. And somehow WWE, oh, you know what? I thought this tonight might have been the worst part of Raw, and I'll explain why in a minute. Now, for any of you out there that are expecting us to say that this was the most awful part of the night tonight, did you hear it earlier, everyone? Did you hear? Click, 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 click. That was the sound of goofs quickly deleting their insult tweets about Dwayne Gill and then replacing those insults and diverting it to Miz and Morrison. Why? Because they had no idea that Dwayne Gill suffered a heart attack 6 weeks ago, was in ICU, and was not in good condition whatsoever. Not only did the guy recover, not to the point where he could wrestle again, but I had no problem with that segment tonight. It's like what Drew McIntyre said. You got a little bit for everybody out there. I thought it was so cool to see Dwayne Gill tonight, that he could even be my head right now. See? What'd you think of Dwayne Gill back tonight? He looked great. Fine. He looked like he was only hitting 50.
Right. No, he's fine. You know what? Let me say this. For the most part, you could tell that they were trying tonight. For all the weeks so far that have been leading up to the Royal Rumble and how A to B that they felt, how very lackluster they felt, tonight, for whatever reason, they really looked like they were trying. I mean, they had the goofy segment with Triple H and Stephanie. Whether you liked it or not, it was them trying. They brought back John Cena for a snort. Whether you liked it or not, they were trying. They brought back, obviously, they brought back Gillberg. You know, they had they were trying. That's what it was. What like an attempt.
What about Jeff Jarrett and his awesome man cave?
Jarrett.
Not against Jeff Jarrett. He looks good. I'm happy for him. He's overcome his demons, and I freaking love to hear good news like that. But my God, no offense. What kind of man cave is that? I mean, look at that Slapnuts Boulevard thing on the top. Yeah, I mean, oh man, talk about bland. Seriously. Oh man, I was like, but I agree with you. They were trying tonight.
They were trying.
They were trying.
Absolutely trying. For better or worse, no matter what the ratings say, they were trying. But that Alexa Bliss is the new heart of fear of the women's division, and Asuka's terrified of her is gross. It's just gross. I don't understand where they can go from that. I know you said a second ago stuff like this won't hurt Asuka. I disagree. When you make her afraid of people half her size, it makes you look bad. Especially if you're a multi-champion, it makes you look bad. Especially when you're considered one of the most dangerous women in the roster, it makes you look bad. Because they're transferring all that onto the shoulders of Alexa Bliss, who clearly cannot hold that much responsibility. I don't understand it. And she's working the storyline with Randy Orton. Now she's working the storyline with Asuka. Obviously, Bray Wyatt will eventually be back. It's kind of just all over the friggin' place, man.
Yeah, tonight was welcome to everyone is pissed off at each other edition of Raw. I mean, I understand with the Royal Rumble, and we talked about this a week or two ago. You're going to see friction with Nia Jackson, Shayna Baszler. You're going to see friction with this person and this person. But I mean, my God. I mean, talk about next week we have to have some friction with Miz and Morrison if they're in the Royal Rumble. I mean, just forcing this friction. Even Elias and Jackson Riker, they have a little dissension. I mean, my God, I understand the Royal Rumble is coming up and every man for himself, but every fucking person tonight having at odds with each other. Jesus. I can't say Jeff Hardy because Jeff Hardy doesn't have anybody really on it. I don't even think he got entrance music tonight, to be honest with you. But this, oh my God. I mean, this is why WWE, and I mean this, They need to do pre-recorded segments if you're going to try to injure the bare foot of Riddle. Because for those that did not see Raw tonight and don't know what I'm talking about, this was worse than the Dark Order from 2019 when one of the members was punching just dead air instead of Dustin Rhodes, that infamous sequence of punches. Lashley tonight, they tried to play off that Lashley stepped on Riddle's foot, and you actually see on video Lashley hitting the floor. That is his foot. I can't play the video because I don't want any copyright strikes. But that is him right before he hits the floor, and Riddle falls on the floor. Oh, bro, my foot, bro. You injured my big bro, toe. I was just, and then, you would think that production during the commercial break, and they monitor social media, and they just got eaten alive. You think they would have done a swerve where Riddle during the match reveals that his foot wasn't hurt at all. No, we'll tape it up and we'll double down on it. That is inexcusable. I tell you, like you said, they tried tonight.
They missed a lot of this stuff, man. That's the problem, is they miss it, and it's just like, fuck it, let's keep going anyways. Like, we've talked about this before. If you miss a move, if you miss something, just do it again. It's okay. If you fucked up, do it again. Yes, botches happen. They happen all the time. There's a guy named Matthew who's made an entire video career off of botches. It happens in wrestling a lot. There's no excuse why, if he missed, you don't do it again for posterity. Like, there's no fucking reason. What would that how long would it have taken for him to make a second step?
Mish, I'm going to punch myself in the face right now. All right? I'm going to punch myself right in the face. You ready?
Okay.
Ow! Ow! Ow!
That's horrible. I guess we go through and pretend that hit.
I'm going to stab myself in the eye. Ready? Ow!
Oh, jeez.
I don't actually. I still want to do that because me, with my luck, I'll actually stab myself in the eye. I mean, come on, man. Austin Kinkle says they made their women's tag team champions look like goofs tonight. Charlotte, I don't think so. I think Charlotte did fine, with a match with Peyton Royce, but it's just awful, man. By the way, where was Charlotte when all this Asuka stuff? Her tag team champion.
Well, she was busy dealing with the fallout from her dad getting lucky with a girl 20 years his junior.
I'll punch myself in the eye again. Ready?
I did love, Ow! I know people can't stand Charlotte, but, dude, I think it's fucking hilarious that Ric Flair and Lacey are a thing. That's funny as hell to me. I don't know. Watching Lacey come out there wearing his robe, I'm like, oh, there you go. Get that Cialis, old man.
Yeah, I mean, she's wearing his. I could see if Lacey was wearing Charlotte's robe and Charlotte gets pissed off. She's wearing Rick's robe. The fuck does Charlotte care?
Well, how do you think she got that robe, DT?
Oh, my God. Papa Jr. says it felt like Husky Dog watching Raw tonight. I like woman. Oh, man, that was so... you missed... Oh, you heard it when we did it on Patreon. We played it 2 days before with Captain Lenny. I like women. For people that don't know what I'm talking about, check out last Thursday's Q&A. About halfway into the show, I played some footage from 2004 when we called this weird old wrestling hotline host. One of the funniest segments, and I have hours and hours of crazy shit recorded. I didn't even play him when he sang the national anthem yet. Oh my God, shit. But I don't know, man. This tonight, I'm at a loss for words. I mean, if you actually, let's go back to this for a minute. Seriously, let's go back to this. All right. Now, I thought this segment itself was fine. I thought Randy Orton, everything that he said was great, even though the voices are not only have returned, they're louder than ever before. Because remember, it was a couple of weeks ago where the voices have finally left. They come back. Now, if you look at it up close, It looks, Randy Orton's nose looks like Frank Drebin from The Naked Gun when Leslie Nielsen went into the fish tank and picked up the Japanese fighting fish and it bit him in the nose. That's what it looks like. And we're only less than 2 weeks away to the Royal Rumble. Somehow that's going to miraculously get better at the Royal Rumble. That's all going to be gone. But here's the thing. Why I thought this was ridiculously stupid as well. Wrestling masks are mostly made out of lycra and nylon, which is almost like putting on spandex. The last thing that I'm going to do with first-degree burns is put on skin tight, you know, something over my face. Just think about that. It's okay. First of all, the eyeballs didn't get burned.
No. Here, you missed a very key point to his promo tonight.
What about that? He could resist the pain and stuff like that.
No. He can't resist the pain. He likes the pain. There's a difference. So what you're bringing up is actually pretty insightful. But if you apply that same insight to the fact that he says that he enjoys the pain, then maybe that's why he's wearing something like that. Because of the irritation, because of the sweating of skin.
Then you know what? Randy Orton should have taken the mask and should have done this. Seriously. I like the pain, everybody. Look, lycra. Ow! Look, it's really hitting me in the face. Look, it's turning red already. I mean, seriously, if he's going to do that, then I can't do it with the glass on. He should be like this. I like the pain. I like the pain. And, you know, like, it just was so god-awful stupid. If he likes the pain so much, and look, I'm talking storyline right now, and I just figured it out. Sure. If he liked the pain so much, why was he writhing on the floor last week like, oh, God, oh, God, oh, God? I would have been like, oh, God, oh, God, oh, this feels great. Oh, man, may I have another? Thank you, ma'am, may I have another? No, he's writhing in pain. I mean, he should have at least laughed last week. He should have been like, oh, God, like what Al Snow used to do when he got beat up, or Bray Wyatt when he used to got beat up. They would be writhing in pain, but they would have this sinister look of enjoyment on his face. Randy Orton showed none of that last week.
Get into, like, ink fetishes and stuff like that, but there's different pains and different enjoyments for different kinds of pain. That's all I'm saying. Maybe Randy Orton doesn't like to be burned alive, but maybe he enjoys his skin being inflamed.
Andy! Oh, so nice. It wants to be hit twice. Randy.
Yes.
So nice. It keeps coming back for more. I swear to God, it's not going on the floor. Randy. Now it went on the floor. Oh, man. You want to talk about some better news?
Okay.
WrestleMania. All right.
Yes.
Let's talk about it. Okay. Over the weekend, bunch of announcements. The video that you saw tonight on Raw was played over the weekend. You had, what were the names over here? John Cena was Hugh Can't See Me. Sasha Banks was Haley Mary. Stephanie's name was Anita Realman. And, I got that. Oh, man. Did you get it?
Yes.
What was she doing? What was she trying to say? Yes. Yeah. I was like, why does she need a real man? Like a film person, a real man? No, I need a real man. Oh, that was good. So then why was Triple H Henry E. Panky?
Hanky Panky.
Oh, Hank. Yes. You are so fucking smart, man. Hanky Panky. So they announced WrestleMania.
You didn't know this? Are you fucking with me?
I didn't think. Right? You know what? Oh. I didn't think. It's my mind has been all scattered all over all the whole weekend. But anyway, they announced the next 3 WrestleManias. Yeah. Obviously, the UK is unhappy because at least through WrestleMania 39, you are not getting a Mania in England. But
sad. This was absolutely an opportunity for WWE to use I want to say use the worst year that we've had in recorded history and actually turn it into a unique positive for the company. But yeah, no, go on. State where the next 3 WrestleManias are going to be.
Yeah, well, let's talk about obviously this year's. This is the official announcement. It will be at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. And it will be a 2-night event, April 10th and April 11th. And not only that, they are going to have fans in attendance. They are going to be doing a lot of safe protocols. They are doing some other events as well. And expect the proof of vaccination to come into play. You're not going to be required to show proof of vaccination, but you're going to have to take some COVID testing right before the events. And something tells me, I don't know how far this would go as far as Florida, because Florida is a little bit different. They march to the beat of their own drum. But if I was WWE and DeSantis in Florida, that you let fans sit at ringside who have shown proof that they have been vaccinated. And yes, kind of a selfish thing for me to say, because I expect to sit at ringside for WrestleMania this year, and I will have evidence as well. But what do you think? Do you think that they should require proof of vaccination in order to sit that close to the wrestlers? Or do you think the plexiglass will be up? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I have no problem with that. Why would anybody have any problems with people being safe during this first WrestleMania meetup? I'm totally for it. If they require proof of people having vaccines, I'd be in favor of that too. I think right now the best thing that we can do, especially with large gatherings, from concerts to sports to WrestleMania, is to be as safe as humanly possible. So if all they want is for people to take a couple of COVID tests before they show up, I'm okay with that. I think it should be more personally, but you know, it's a start.
Yeah.
See, I mean, this is what could be one of the first major gatherings for wrestling.
Yeah.
In over a year. So I mean, what the hell? Yeah.
Yeah, and not only that, you know, I got to add this for everybody out there. You got to understand something. Now, you know, every state is different with this, but here in New York, they're averaging 200,000 vaccinations a week. Okay, 200,000 a week. WrestleMania is about 12 weeks away. So when you think about Florida, even if Florida's vaccination rate was half of that, which is 100,000, Florida is less population because it's less dense than it is in New York. Yeah,
some states are only doing 1,000 a day. TT.
Well, no, they're doing a lot more than that. They're doing tens of thousands.
Some states are not doing that, dude. Some states are only getting out 1,000 right now.
Right. Some states that didn't have high rates. But my point is, you're going to have millions of people vaccinated in Florida by the time you're talking 12 weeks from now. And, you know, we're not going to get into politics here.
I'm not.
Yeah. Well, one thing that we've all pretty much agreed on is that as far as President Biden goes, that he obviously and Democrats are going to want to steal as much of Trump's thunder as far as Trump's contribution for the vaccines. So a lot of people, even my neck of the woods, think that within the next week or two, you're going to see massive rollouts of this vaccine. 12 weeks, you will have tens of millions of Americans vaccinated. You know, this is 3 months from now. This is not 3 weeks from now. So, you know, by that time, there are going to be so many. Now, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to refuse to be vaccinated. And that's where you run into real complications, because there's going to be some massive lawsuits throughout the country. There's going to be lawsuits for restaurants, for concerts, for this. Because I said this, you remember, I said this back in February or March of last year, that some venues are going to probably only let people in who are vaccinated, and that's discrimination. There are people out there that just don't believe in vaccinations, and I respect that. But 12 weeks away, an awful lot is going to happen. And by that time, you're doing events, you got, you know, evidence of, you know, clear, tested, vaccinated. I think you're going to, I think you will have a minimum of 10,000 fans at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
You any chance you might go?
What, to WrestleMania? I have no clue, man.
Okay.
It's not even on my docket right now.
Okay.
I'd love to, but you know, considering all of what everything's going on, I'm not going to go unless I'm vaccinated, and that all really depends on what happens in February. So,
Well, today I went and checked out plane fares. $39.
Oh yeah, they're dirt cheap, dude. And I think I still have like a couple $100 credit with JetBlue.
Yeah.
So
I still have credit when I was going to go to Chicago for C2E2.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but hey, for some of you out there that are thinking about going to WrestleMania now, we'll see how everything goes. There's a very good chance you will have some of us out in Florida just to try to have a little bit of sense of normalcy,
Right.
So,
absolutely.
But yeah, that's an awesome announcement. Now, the second announcement as far as WrestleMania is this. Next year, which will be WrestleMania 38, that is going to take place Sunday, April 3rd at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Now, right away, there is a lot of rumblings behind the scenes that The Undertaker is going to go into the Hall of Fame next year. I think it kind of makes sense, them being in Texas already.
Sure.
So what do you think about WrestleMania going to by 2022, unless we get COVID-20 and COVID-21, we got to be pretty much back to normal by then.
Well, COVID-20 is already here. It's already been found in Chicago. I know it's found in New York and a few other cities too. So, but yeah, no, Texas seems like a lot of fun. I'm actually looking more forward to going to WrestleMania in Texas than I am in Tampa, and even technically LA. I think I would rather go to Texas. Texas is a whole new world. It's a place I've never been, and it seems like it would be a lot of fun. And especially if you're talking about the rumor mill saying that Undertaker might be the guy that's going in big for the Hall of Fame. Yeah, how in the hell do you miss that? So Texas is definitely the WrestleMania I'm looking forward to, and hopefully you're right. By that time, maybe we got more of our shit together. Maybe the state is a little bit better off. Maybe the rules for vaccination and COVID testing is a lot more required, and it's a lot more controlled. So I'm looking forward to that one. Texas, I'm definitely looking forward to, man.
Yeah. Well, now I ask you this.
Yeah.
A lot of people were saying that, because remember, WrestleMania was supposed to go to Hollywood in 2021. That has now been postponed for 2 years. Now, originally, the plan that everybody was talking about is that Roman Reigns was going to face The Rock in Hollywood. Now, does that match get postponed for 2 years? That's an awful long time.
That is a long time to postpone a match, but I don't know. Maybe they set something up this year. I don't know. I don't know how they do it, because it seems like it's part of the way that they're going, but it's not really beneath WWE to keep a gimmick going till it's stale.
Any chance you think they would go with John Cena versus Roman Reigns? Because John Cena obviously is returning, and I'm going to say something in a minute that's going to piss off a lot of people. But
sure.
What do you think? There's any chance we see John Cena versus? I'm not saying for this WrestleMania, but maybe for next year.
Why wouldn't we? There's definitely a chance of John Cena versus Roman Reigns. I don't see that being an issue at all. If anything, I see that kind of like Roman Reigns needs to go through John Cena in order to keep up with the tribal chief shit. Yeah. So it's kind of a definite. There's a few people on the list that Roman Reigns needs to get through. So if they're going to keep it going for 2 years before he gets to The Rock, and let's say The Rock is the final boss, if you will, there's definitely a lot of other names you can put on that list that can keep Roman Reigns going if he's going to try and build this legacy.
Yeah.
Underneath as a heel. So,
all right. I have for the last 2 months have focused on two people winning the Royal Rumble. And I am going to stick with my prediction. It's probably wrong. But after seeing this weekend, yes, the skits were comical. Roman Reigns was in one of them announcing WrestleMania for this year. You had John Cena make an appearance, which was cool to see him back. But the way I feel right now, especially that WWE wants to really kickstart wrestling again. And by the way, I just want to mention too, with WrestleMania being bumped ahead 2 extra weeks. This is what the pay-per-view schedule looks like between now and WrestleMania, because there's a lot going on. You have next Sunday, January 31st for the Royal Rumble. 2 weeks after that, you have NXT TakeOver, February 14th, which happens to be Valentine's Day. They got to do something like Valentine's Day Massacre or something like that. The week after, which is February 21st, is the Elimination Chamber. Then you have March 21st, which is Fastlane, and then April 10th and 11th, which is WrestleMania. So that is a lot going on between now and WrestleMania. But my thinking is, especially with WWE really wanting to get a lot of exposure with this, nothing against Big E, but I don't think Big E versus Roman Reigns would be the huge marquee main event that would just feel like it's all wrestling, especially that they're doing 2 nights. There's got to be a huge match one night. Well, my pick is that Big E will win Elimination Chamber and take on Roman Reigns. I think the winner of this year's Royal Rumble on the men's side is going to be Brock Lesnar. And Brock Lesnar is going to take on Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. I think Drew McIntyre retains his title against Goldberg, because there's no way going into... I thought about this long and hard, because the way they've used Goldberg the last 2 years, a lot of people are fearing that WWE is going to do the same trend. Goldberg's booked for 2 matches a year, win title, lose title. Next year, win title, lose title. I think
it's very anticlimactic. If that's the case, if you're dead on about this, which it's logical, it makes sense. It's very anticlimactic, and it's very boring, and it's very tried and true, and it's going to end up being another ho-hum Mania moment. Sorry. Big E at least has the premise, the idea behind Big E is big enough, because how long does this guy have to wait to get a decent singles career? How long does this guy have to wait in order to get the fanfare of people rightfully? You're going to put him on the back burner again? I don't know.
No. You got 2 nights. So Drew versus Brock would be one night, the rematch, and another night would be Roman Reigns versus Big E. You have co-main events. I mean, I'm sure one of the women's matches is going to be a co-main event as well. But I think Big E versus Roman Reigns to close out one night, and Drew with the rematch against Brock Lesnar to close out another. The only thing that I'm really curious about is, number one, will Paul Heyman return as Brock Lesnar's advocate? And if so, that's going to be really interesting to see if they do any segments with Brock, Paul Heyman, and Roman Reigns all in the same room. So that's what I'm going with. That's what I'm going with right now. Would you be fine with that if that happened?
I mean, it sounds okay. I'm just not a big fan of Brock coming in and just claiming the title again. Look, Drew has...
I didn't say he'd win the title. Rumble. I'm not sure if he'd win the belt yet. I'm undecided about that.
I thought that's what you were trying to lead up to. I'm not
just the match right
now. The idea that Brock might even be put in that predicament. But yeah, no, I mean, Brock coming back, I like Brock, I do, but the way that he's been utilized, I don't know, man. I just don't think that they have the same ideas that fans would like to see Brock in. Brock being away from TV for a bit is going to refresh him. He comes back big. Absolutely looking forward to that. Obviously, we need to get the belt off of Drew. It just really depends on the direction that you want to go.
Yeah.
So,
Mike Gonzalez, as far as Sheamus winning a Rumble, I don't think he wins a Rumble, but I think that match that Mish and I have been talking about now for about 2 months, Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre, will probably be the main event at Fastlane, or one of the 2 main events at Fastlane.
Gosh, could you imagine if that was his Mania event?
I don't see that. Unless they really want to focus on a women's match. I don't know.
Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. Yeah.
That's all I got. I have other sound effects, but that's the only one I think I could apropos. 90s guy. WWE's turning into Wish Wrestling Entertainment. Quality's going down the tube. I was baffled with some of the stuff tonight. This is jumping the shark with the LED screens. I truly believe fans in attendance would have shitted all over that garbage tonight if that was live in front of thousands in the building.
Yeah, it wasn't good. He's not wrong. The quality is kind of going down the tube. Once again, they get points tonight from me. They get points tonight for trying. They were doing things outside of the bubble. They were trying to make this Raw seem a little special, and they were already starting to whisper about WrestleMania. This is what they should have been doing weeks ago, because that's what January is. It's like as soon as January hits, let's talk about Rumble, let's talk about WrestleMania. So far they've gone through 2 weeks. This is the third week. Now we're actually addressing the fact that Royal Rumble is important to WrestleMania. So they're trying. And I don't think that the direction that they had tonight with the Bliss and I don't know. I don't see much coming from Bliss taking out Asuka if that's the direction that they so choose. And the tag team champion stuff, I understand people are upset about the Charlotte thing. Charlotte's got her own singles thing going on with her dad and Lacey. So and Peyton too, I guess. And then of course you had the Nia and Shayna thing, which was okay. I'm okay with Shayna and Nia continuing their arguments and their disagreements. I actually enjoy them fighting. It makes sense. I just don't see Mandy Rose and Dana being the ones to topple them. That's just embarrassing.
I thought it was so awful today. Dana Brooke, it was only a week ago, I think, where Shayna Baszler was pushing around Mandy Rose, and Dana Brooke comes out and says, "What are you doing? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing it?" And then Dana Brooke the following week does a similar pussy move and kicks them into each other so they could get angrier. And then the funny thing about it was, this was just so bad about it, was that Nia and Shayna were arguing outside the ring. They weren't planning an attack to take out Mandy Rose. After Dana kicked Nia into Shayna Baszler, Dana runs in the ring like, hurry, get out of the ring, hurry, let's go. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? They're not even like, they don't even give a shit about Mandy Rose. They're not even looking at her. And it's just horrendous, man. Oh, I wanted to vomit. Seriously. I wanted to fart. At minimum, I wanted to fart. I thought it was so bad. And, speaking of bad.
AJ stuff, look, good matches, Ricochet and AJ. The segments and the setups are so awkward. Did you get sick? Because for whatever reason, if you go back and watch that segment, that cameraman kept doing this the whole time.
Which segment?
Just back and forth with AJ Omos and Ricochet.
Oh, yeah. I think I know what you're talking about. I'm lying, but I just...
Dude, I felt like I was in a boat. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And you're watching the camera, and I'm sitting there doing this, like, why is he moving back and forth like that? Because at first I'm like, is everybody just moving back and forth? No, it's the camera guy. The camera guy's just doing this the whole time. It's like nobody notices it. I'm like, how in the fuck are people not getting sick from this? I would have been screaming at that guy through his headset. Stop moving, you fucking Nancy. Jesus.
And by the way, everybody, when people are getting triggered online that people could just declare themselves in the Royal Rumble and other people have to have qualifying matches, the reason why they do that is because the people in the qualifying matches, they lose. And when they lose, that means they're not in the Royal Rumble. So why would somebody declare themselves in the Royal Rumble if they're not really going to be in the Royal Rumble? The only way to justify that is to lose a qualifying match. If they don't lose a qualifying match, then you'll be on social media saying, why isn't Ricochet in the Royal Rumble? He's such a great talent. Why is he not in the Royal Rumble? But why does he? So now they're like, why does he have to have a qualifying match? So he can lose the qualifying match, so he's not in the Royal Rumble. Cameraman, zoom it. But seriously, do people think before they get triggered. I know it's stupid. I agree it's stupid, but that's why they do qualifying matches. So you on social media don't get triggered. Why is this person not in the Royal Rumble? Why doesn't this person just declare themselves? Well, it's because WWE doesn't want them in the Royal Rumble. Ah! Brandon Jones brings up Alexa Bliss. What about that? Yeah. You know, like The Exorcist.
You know what? I thought about that. So Brandon Jones says, he's like, I think WWE wants us to think that the Fiend has taken over Alexa Bliss's body. Remember at the end, WWE played the Fiend voice. Dude, I thought that I thought that might be the play. Like, apparently Bray Wyatt is now a poltergeist, and he has been allowed to take over Alexa Bliss's body. But then if you really think about it, so then what that match happened tonight with Alexa Bliss and Asuka, so it was a man. It was Bray Wyatt kicking.
It was an
shit.
Intergender match, which never happens on WWE programming.
Right. It was Bray Wyatt in the body of Alexa Bliss kicking the shit out of Asuka for the women's title. Okay.
But that's Alexa Bliss. I mean, although her character is great, I mean, listen. Wyatt. People need to remember, Alexa Bliss, and we've been saying it for months, she is nailing this character. We are happy with her doing this character. But that doesn't make her suddenly 5-star wrestler in the ring.
Right.
You know, I mean, people forget. You know,
She's not a good wrestler. She's a great character. She has the look. I understand why people like her. I understand that people are attracted to her. I understand that people enjoy her promos. Fantastic. She is not great in the ring. She's not. She is not good in the ring. And you're going to have her beat Asuka clean, or kind of clean, unless she's possessed. I mean, whatever the hell that is. I'm sorry. It's just unbelievable.
Mr. Mike and a few others like the segment. Look, I say this straight out. You will never see a tweet from me making fun of people that like a particular wrestler or like a particular segment. You have every right to enjoy something just as much as we have every right to not enjoy something, and vice versa. I totally respect anybody out there that disagrees with what we're saying right now, but we can only speak for us. And, you know, it's a very hard sell to see. Look, I could see if Alexa Bliss did some Papa Shango shit tonight, and that's why she got the win. But to see Asuka all throughout the night literally peeing in her pants, you know, and all I kept thinking about is, no one is ready for Asuka. And then tonight, she's almost peeing in her pants in fear. That is just very hard for me to just, as a wrestling fan, suspension of disbelief. And like I said, go back and look when Alexa Bliss puts her on Sister Abigail. Just look at Asuka's head. Suddenly she turned into Joey 924's legs. She suddenly became, just paralyzed. Paralyzed that much with fear that she's in a trance and just waiting to get spiked. I thought WWE jumped the shark tonight with, I don't mind them piping in claps. I don't mind them piping in cheers or boos. You know,
they have no choice.
Look,
the pipe, you know, people still complaining about the piped in cheers and stuff. What are they going to do? They literally have no other choice.
I agree, man. Prince Albert says WWE's revisiting the CM Punk Brock storyline, except replace Punk with Roman Reigns. Yeah, I'm fine with it. I tell you the truth. I wish we would get CM Punk back in the Royal Rumble. I mean, that would be pretty damn cool, but at this stage of the game, it just doesn't seem like it's in the cards. It really doesn't.
It's not a bad idea. I like Prince Albert's idea. CM Punk Brock with Punk and Roman. I can see that. I think that's a pretty logical thing to say, Prince Albert's. Nice, man.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I guess, by the way, I wanted to mention this. Big shout out, obviously, to everybody. You know, especially everybody who's live hanging out with us tonight. If you're enjoying the show, I appreciate it. If you hit that like button, it recommends to YouTube our show to others. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. We want to get to 18,000 subscribers by WrestleMania. That's not that far away. We're right on the verge of 17,300, and we want to do it organically. We don't want any bullshit, just subscribe, just subscribe. No, if you enjoy the channel, subscribe. And don't forget this week, busy week, Wednesday Night Dynamite. Thursday, the Q&A returns for a third week in a row. And then Friday, we got the Don Tony Show. Thursday, 7:30 to 9:30-ish, Wrestling Soup. And for our Patreon family, we'll be up tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern. And I'll let everybody know in a little bit detail about how the COVID vaccine went. But I want to make another plug tonight. I want to give a very special shout out to Jonny Candido. It's no secret that over the years, until his passing, I became friends with Chris Candido. And Jonny Candido, along with John Cosper, came out with not only a biography on Chris Candido, but a lot of really touching stories, a lot of personal stuff about Chris Candido that you did not know about. And for 2 years, Jonny Candido and I were planning on doing some type of an episode together. Originally, and this is no secret, I've talked about it before, originally when he was working on the documentary regarding Chris Candido, he asked me to be on it, to tell some of my personal stories with Chris Candido that a lot of them I still have yet to make public, and I turned it down. And he said to me, and we'll bring it up, he said to me, why? I said, because. I said, the documentary's going to have all this famous people on there, everybody identifies. I said, me, I'm just like a regular guy like everybody else out there. That's not what the people want to see. But I talked to Jonny today, and he's going to come on in the next week or two. We're going to talk about the book, going to talk, reminisce a little bit about Chris Candido, tell a few stories that you haven't heard before. We were talking about something tonight with Balls Mahoney that will make you laugh your ass off. So we definitely want you to tune in. And by the way, on this episode tonight, you will see in the description area a link where you could pick up the book over at Amazon. And I ordered the book already. I will have it here Thursday, and we will be giving away a couple of copies within the next week or two. So I just figured, you all might want to check that out. So big shout out to Jonny. Really, really good guy. And, it's just amazing to think it's already almost 16 years that guy has passed. It's still, for me, it's one of those, I remember where I was, what I was doing. I remember the weather. I remember this was a month and a half before ECW One Night Stand. I mean, just everything about it, and getting that phone call from the Masked Maniac. It's something I'll never, ever forget. So, but, so we'll be doing that soon.
Good.
So, what else we want to talk about? You want to talk about the rest of Raw, and then we'll finish up the show with a little bit of Ryback and Mark Henry.
Yeah. Let's cover the rest of the show.
One thing I do want to let everybody know before anybody asks, on Wednesday, as part of Wednesday Night Dynamite, I will be giving you some quick thoughts about Impact Wrestling's Hard to Kill pay-per-view. I saw half of it so far. I will watch the other half tomorrow. All I will say for now is main event, very happy with it. I'm happy they didn't go the predictable route with Moose and Rich Swann, but I told you all on Friday, I told you we were going to get some cinematic bullshit with Karate Man and Ethan Page. God awful. We'll talk about it, but a little treat. I pulled a couple of strings, and Ethan Page's heart that was ripped out of him, it's on its way to me. And I should have it in time for Wednesday's show. So I actually will have in my hands Wednesday night Ethan Page's heart. I will have to wear gloves, obviously. I'll have to return it to Karate Man. That was horrendous. That was horrendous. By the way, Ric Flair is getting a little bit of shit online for going out to eat with Hulk Hogan in Florida. between the racist stuff, still bringing it up with Hogan and the fact that nobody's wearing masks. I'm with a lot of other people out there. What baffles me the most about them going out for lunch is the two goofs on the left side of the screen that are not like staring in awe that Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan is sitting at the same fucking counter as them. Look at that. How do you do that? I'd be just staring at them nonstop. I'd be photobombing that. I just figured I'd mention it.
I don't know. Yeah.
So anyway, Raw tonight. Let me pull up my quick notes. Sure. All right. So we had Randy Orton open up tonight. The voices are louder than ever, Mish. And as you said, well, you know what? I have to go one step back.
All right.
Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Obviously, I tell you, if there was ever a time that people really to not just hear the words, but listen to the words, let it sink in a little bit, we really, truly, I'm telling you, fuck this formula that so many people do online. We really need to be better people. We got to stop, you hate Trump. I'm not defending him. I didn't vote for him this last year. But, you can't just insist on his head on the way out. Now, if he pardons some people from the riots, then yeah, do whatever you want. But we can't have riots on Wednesday. We have to have a peaceful transition. We got to give Biden a chance, see what happens. If it doesn't work out, we got 2 years from now to vote again and 4 years for the president. But, this, oh, no, we got to be better. And then you want to censor. It's on both sides. People need to start this shit now. Now, if you truly find what Martin Luther King Jr. says powerful, then fucking show it. Show it. I saw all these tweets today about Martin Luther King Jr.'s words, people taking quotes, people that I follow, people that I don't follow, people that I care about, people that I don't care about. And then literally a minute later, we got to destroy this person. We got to take this person off of social media. We got to ban this and ban this. You ain't helping. You ain't helping. Right. All you're doing is just stirring the witch's brew. So that's why I know a lot of people don't like, more mellowed out Don Tony. But I truly try to treat, people the way I want to be treated. Some people are irredeemable. Some people, there's nothing you could do that will, change them around. But, all I could do is control, like I have on my Twitter. I can't change anything with the past, but I could do something about the future. So we open up Raw tonight with Randy Orton in the ring. Like you said, excellent promo about the voices returning, welcoming the pain. He is still in the Royal Rumble, which makes me think, Mish, the Fiend will be in the Royal Rumble.
That's kind of the premise that I think, too. I think a lot of people have that same idea. It only makes sense for him to return. If he doesn't return as an entrant, maybe he returns just to mess up Randy Orton or something. I'm not sure.
You think a little bit too much on the makeup?
Nah, it's fine, dude.
Yeah?
I was okay with it. Yeah, I was okay with it. It's fine.
I tell you, Randy Orton, obviously, with his promos, it's always recaps of the week before, 2 weeks before, a month before, 18 years ago. There's always a long, extended recap. Tonight, with the exception of, like I said, with the mask, that's just me. But I thought it was very well done tonight. I liked that deep, just music tone in the background to give a little bit of a darker feel to it. Overall, I thought it was a good opening segment. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was fine. It was solid. Like I said, Randy Orton there, and then they played the different clips, that happened in the past. It was a well done little produced piece.
Yeah. He doesn't blame Alexa Bliss.
Right.
He doesn't blame Alexa Bliss, and he's welcoming the pain, and he said that he loved the fact that he had Alexa Bliss's life in his own hands, and he let her, let her live.
I think we're gonna have a moment where Randy Orton actually strikes her, beats the hell out of her. Because let's play devil's advocate once again. if what was said earlier is even remotely true, where Bray Wyatt is in the body of Alexa Bliss, couldn't Randy Orton technically beat the living crap out of Alexa Bliss because he's actually trying to beat the hell out of Bray Wyatt?
Yeah, it's like the spirit of Bray Wyatt is in Alexa Bliss.
Right, right. Couldn't he technically just beat the living shit out of Alexa Bliss then?
Be very interesting, man. Be very interesting. I mean, you know, like I said, they get away with more because of the COVID and not having live fans in attendance. Some of this stuff is pre-recorded. It's because, like I said, even with the Triple H thing last week, something I didn't think about last week. When I saw the recap today, then it made me laugh because I didn't think about this last week. Remember last week when Triple H had the flaming sledgehammer, then the lights went out?
Yes.
Why did the fire go out like a light bulb? If you go back and you watch it, the lights went out and the flame disappeared as well.
Right.
It's not like somebody put out the fire, because if you have a flaming thing and even if you put a towel over it, you'll see the glow. That was pre-recorded because they went to black.
Well, what it was is it was supposed to represent an unnatural darkness. The darkness that Bray Wyatt brings is so unnatural that even fire cannot illuminate the darkness.
I don't know, man. And if that's the case, when Randy Orton lit the match, why didn't Alexa Bliss just turn the lights off and the match would have went fade to black like Triple H's flaming sledgehammer?
Blue Tip Ohio. He was using a Blue Tip Ohio match. Those can penetrate the unnatural darkness, yes.
And we told you all there was going to be no explanation for Triple H's disappearance last week. Not only did he disappear, he came back as Huge Erection, whatever the fuck his name was, for WrestleMania. I mean, think about that. I remember a couple of weeks ago, people thought they were starting to get cliffhangers. No, this is just sloppy shit. Unexplained stuff. Tell me what happened with Triple H last week. He disappeared. The fire went out like a light bulb.
Yeah, he came back as Ryan Satin this week, like Phil says. He came back looking like Ryan Satin. Man, he had that wig down pat, didn't he?
Yeah, I thought the whole stuff was good with Mania. I had no complaints at all.
It was fun. Yeah, it was funny.
They got three years worth of announcements in a 2-minute skit.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Mr. Mike, we've never done this with movies. It's something that we've talked about doing in the past. If there's enough interest out there, then we definitely would consider doing that in the future. You know, we just would have to figure out like when and where and how and what as far as movies. But yeah, it's something we've talked about in the past. Somebody wanted me to shout you out, Dylan List. Are you still a Stitches fan?
What's that?
I don't know. Stitches fan. Do not super chat Dylan a follow-up because that's unfair. But a Stitches fan. I don't know what it means by that. Oh, Stitcher Radio.
Like
Stitcher Radio.
Oh, like Butterfly. Oh, Stitcher. Yeah, Stitcher. We still put Wrestling Soup on Stitcher. So. Okay.
All right. And Ken, Terminated by DQ, did the Candido book bury anyone? I haven't read it yet. I have Johnny sending me one. I'm going to get it Thursday. And this is, I swear on my family, this is not a joke when I say this. Other than owner's manuals and wrestling magazines, I have not read a book cover to cover in 20 some odd years. Wow. I mean, I've gotten books shipped to me, previews, Charlotte's book and others, and I skim through like 5 pages. I'm like, that's enough. I'm not someone to read books. I've had some Audible books, you know, where I just, in the background, just listen to it while I'm doing other things. The Chris Candido book will be the first book that I actually read from cover to cover in two plus decades. And I told Johnny that before I bring him on, I want to read the entire book. And because we definitely, trust me, I'm not just trying to hype shit. Believe me when I tell you, when we do this episode, This is not going to be like any other podcast where they're just bringing somebody up to review a book and talk about somebody's career. This is going to be very deep, very personal. There's going to be a lot of stories that you haven't heard before, and you're going to realize, you know, that all the shit that I've been talking about for years was true and then some. So, and look, if he buries somebody, but you got to remember something. This is Jonny Candido, Chris's brother, and the author talking about Chris. So, Johnny burying someone.
You ever read a book in that long?
I really haven't.
Yeah,
I mean, I've gone through books. I mean,
the New Jack book literally a couple, maybe about
I've
3 days ago.
skimmed through some books, but I mean, as far as reading every page.
Oh yeah.
No.
New Jack's book was really good, and I know that you know New Jack. You used to talk with him and stuff like that. You guys did shows and stuff together. He had a really good book, and it's kind of funny because some of the negatives that I thought about the entire book, he literally in the epilogue, he comes out more human than any other part of the book, and he kind of cleans up all the negatives. So, as far as autobiographies go, New Jack's book is probably one of the best that I've read in the last few years. Easy.
That's great.
It was really good. It was
That's
really
great.
Fucking enjoyable.
Seriously, that's great, man.
It's funny because it's difficult sometimes to try and gauge when he's being New Jack the character and when he's being Jerome the person. But he's really good at telling stories. Like, obviously, he's really good at telling stories. If you've ever heard New Jack shoot interviews or you ever heard him do anything on air, even with you guys, he's really good at telling a story. And his book is no different. His book is absolutely no different. It's just as well thought out, and it connects to the fans emotionally in some areas, you know.
Yeah.
And you really get a feel for who he was. So.
Yeah. Getting back to Raw, we had a backstage segment with Lacey Evans and Charlie Caruso. Yeah. Lacey getting upset, asking Charlie if she's TMZ, like wondering what's going on. I don't know, man. I mean, last week we kind of talked about, are they going to go in the direction of a G-rated version of Dawn Marie, Al Wilson, and Tori? I don't know. I think that in the end, Lacey Evans is going to take advantage of Ric Flair. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Of course she is. You think she has?
No, I'm saying, like, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this. Like, this is going to help Lacey Evans, obviously, because all the attention is now split. It's not just focused on Lacey Evans. It's Lacey Evans and Ric Flair. Peyton Royce feels like the odd person out. Peyton Royce, honestly, if you look at this whole story now, if I was Lacey Evans, I would just kick Peyton Royce to the curb next week. What's the purpose of Lacey Evans having Peyton Royce around? What are they going to do? Menage a trois? Like,
right. Well,
is she going to be the chauffeur for Lacey Evans and Ric Flair? I don't like it. I think
I think you're taking it in a whole different direction. I think the reality is that Ric Flair is hanging out with Lacey Evans because it's a girl that he finds attractive, and he's up in his age. You know, he's in his older days. On Lacey's turn, she's fucking with Charlotte's head. She's fucking with Charlotte's head, and she's using Rick in order to get over on Charlotte. I don't necessarily know if it's just to get over on Charlotte by herself or Charlotte with Asuka or how that's going to all come down, you know, but it's Lacey's the one that's going to – this is what we were talking about for a while. I know myself, you, Joe, a few other people that I've talked with all have the same idea that Lacey needs a little bit more time. She needs to be showcased more. I think this is her time. I don't think Charlotte's going to walk out of this feud with Lacey on top. I think Lacey's going to beat the shit out of Charlotte. I think Lacey's going to dominate this one. And it's, you know, you would think that Charlotte is usually the one that's always going over. People are like, oh my God, look at what horrible things she did to Rhea Ripley, Mish. What the hell are you talking about? I think Lacey might be the one to go over on Charlotte in this one. I think this one's for Lacey.
I mentioned this Friday. I want to ask you now, do you think WWE should just reform the Iconics, Peyton Royce and Billie Kay? Because the Billie Kay stuff, for me,
no,
it just
Peyton or what? Fire Peyton. They don't need her.
Yeah,
you're telling me that Carmella can't do everything that Peyton Royce has been doing? You know,
I think Peyton Royce is pretty good in the ring, but I think maybe the Iconics should reform. because the Billy Kay stuff, I mean, they're trying, but it just feels all over the place. By the way, somebody sent me a DM earlier. I haven't looked into it yet. I figured you'd probably be the person I could ask. Did Natty do an interview over the weekend and actually say that Tamina is going to be a powerhouse?
I think that might be a gag, bud.
It's got to be, because I'm saying to myself, Tamina's been on TV since before I had pubic hair. What do you mean powerhouse? Like, that's like when Hulk Hogan said in like 2010 when he was with TNA, oh, we got this future star. His name is AJ Styles, and AJ Styles is already in his mid-30s.
I'm not saying it's a gag. I'm not saying it's a gag that she said that. I'm saying it's a gag that she meant that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I figured. I didn't see it. Somebody told me, and I'm like,
I just don't believe that Natty meant that. You know what I mean?
Okay. So we had the match, Charlotte Flair versus Peyton Royce. Decent match. During it, to try to distract Charlotte, Lacey Evans comes out with Ric Flair. Lacey is wearing Ric Flair's robe. But in the end, Charlotte hits the figure eight on Peyton Royce. Peyton submits. Charlotte does not break it. So, you know, obviously this gets a one-up on this. By again, I don't know where it goes from here. We're getting into the Royal Rumble.
Right.
Is Charlotte and Asuka going to be defending their titles? I mean, what is actually going to happen with Charlotte and Asuka at the Royal Rumble? Are we going to have Alexa Bliss versus Asuka? Then I don't know. And next week is the last Raw before the Rumble. And as of right now, neither of Asuka's titles are being defended at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of cluster fucking going on. We've been complaining about the storylines for a moment, but yeah, you're right. Asuka seems like she's out of the picture. If she's going to be in the picture, she's going to have multiple matches. You know what I mean? And if Charlotte and Asuka do put the titles on the line, the tag titles, it's almost as if you can see them just easily being taken away, since they're both involved with singles feuds that have nothing to do with the tag titles. Yeah. They're really both in a conundrum at the moment. It's like they're almost working two different storylines each. You know?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Ken suggests that I read one of Mick Foley's books. I almost read that Titan Brown or whatever it was, and I got a sample in the mail, and I read like 5 pages of it, and I just got sidetracked, and I never looked at the book ever again. I actually, you know what, in fairness, I did read a decent amount of Have a Nice Day. I definitely...
Have a Nice Day was a good book. His second book was good. His third one, which was, what was it, the TNA one? Hard Knocks. What the fuck was
Cheap Pops and Hard Knocks or something like that?
Yeah, it was like his third book. That was okay. It was okay.
I tell you the truth. One of the things on my bucket list before the end of 2021 is I am going to have Mick Foley on here. And we're going to, you know, have some good conversation, but there may be a lot of politics involved. Just to pick his brain about, you know, some things in society. But right now is not the time, especially the man just got COVID. And by the way, best wishes go out to Michelle McCool. You heard, right? She caught COVID. She's battling COVID. She has no idea where she got it. I mean, you know, all I could say to that is, you know, keep in mind in Texas, the mask mandates are not what it is here. So I don't know if she was wearing a mask all the time. I don't know if she wasn't. But again, you could catch COVID in such weird circumstances. You could simply just rub your eye and it gets in your tear duct. Believe it or not, I've talked to people who have gotten COVID and they don't know how. And I know for a fact these are very responsible people. I do not think Michelle McCool was being irresponsible. So it ain't no joke. I did Drew McIntyre especially.
That's the biggest problem with it is you don't necessarily have to be irresponsible.
Right.
You just have to be near somebody who is.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just because Michelle McCool is clean and using gloves and wears the mask and everything else like that doesn't mean that the guy who handed her fast food order wasn't snotting all over himself.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or God forbid, put it on the food, coughed, something. That's the problem with it. And it's like, I'm not sitting there saying, once again, people should live in fear or nothing like that. But I mean, the reality is you deal with so many people every day, especially if you're a public figure on any level, whether you're a D-lister or an A-lister or whatever you classify yourself as. You're dealing with so many people a day. It must be impossible to be completely protected at all times against people like that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. That's why you got to be so freaking quiet. That's why, like I said, tomorrow, and I'm not trying to be dramatic here, I am going to tweet something late tonight before I go to bed, that today's the day. Actually, it's now past midnight, so today is the day. It really hits you when you realize that a whole year you've been consumed like this. And I've tried to keep myself busy to try to block it out sometimes. But when you realize that after tomorrow, I am on the road to being protected. And yes, Carmelo and a few others that have sent me a lot of advice as far as COVID and, to be careful. I appreciate everybody's advice, but emotionally it is a weight off your shoulders a little bit, to think that you could start feeling like you could have a little bit of normalcy. It's a lot more powerful than you think. That's why I think WrestleMania is so important, especially if enough people get vaccinated. That, let me say it like this, and we'll get right back to Raw. WWF, if I recall, was the first big event that took place after 9/11. I'm pretty certain of that. And they felt like they were part of the healing to give us entertainment and get our minds off of what had just happened on 9/11/01. When COVID first hit, WWE wanted to be the emotional Band-Aid, as that phrase that we said last year, Mish and I. So what better than for WWE to be the first mega, yes, I know auto racing and football has had thousands of fans, but the first mega entertainment, huge event. That, I think, is a big, that's something that WWE really, really is pulling for. And I got news for you. Of all of 50 states, DeSantis in Florida is Vince McMahon's number one chance of having that happen. Not Connecticut, not New Jersey, New York, nowhere else. Florida would be the ultimate state for Vince McMahon to be able to do that. So, but so best wishes again go out to Michelle McCool. Obviously, COVID, no joke. So just hope she's doing better. She had very few symptoms, but still, blink of an eye, you could get some complications. We had that horrible backstage segment, as we showed you before. They're hyping up the Lucha House Party and Matt Riddle versus Shelton, Cedric, and Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley supposedly steps on Riddle's foot, misses by a mile, looked horrendous on television. Then we had a promo by Mustafa Ali. Jesus Christ. They finally fucking brought it up. 2 years ago, you and I said Ali should turn heel and go up against Kofi for taking his spot in the Elimination Chamber because Ali's injured. Remember 2 years ago we said that? Ali should turn heel and take it out on Kofi for losing his spot. And Kofi should thank Ali for winning the title. He fucking cut pretty much that in the promo tonight.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Mace.
I thought it was a little bit goofy. Don't you think it's a little weird that he's holding on to this? That they even brought up the fact he's holding on to this since 2019. I'm like,
it's like the Ciampa Thatcher stuff. They waited like 3 or 4 weeks to finally acknowledge that the storyline of Ciampa and Thatcher made no sense whatsoever. And they finally acknowledged it last week. But we have Mace, another big guy that you and I said. And look, I know a lot of you out there don't like when we toot our own horns, but we're the only show that said from day one with that Performance Center stuff that we said, look, they're not working house shows. Going to the Performance Center and keeping fresh and working on your craft is a good thing. Every big man has actually done pretty damn good since that came out. And Mace had a decent match tonight, beat Xavier Woods in 4 minutes. And, I guess the next feud will be Kofi Kingston and Mustafa Ali. The problem is New Day are tag champs. We need Ali with someone else to go against New Day. Like, what? I understand Kofi is injured right now, but I don't want a one-on-one feud. They're tag champs. Lose the belts and then have Kofi feud with Mustafa Ali, unless we're going to get maybe like Slapjack and Ali versus New Day.
Yeah,
maybe they'll do that.
They're going to try and get the tag belts over to Retribution, and I almost see that that's going to be their attempt in order to validate Retribution. So
yeah, and Gordon, that's what Mish and I said 2 years ago. That whole Dolph Ziggler storyline, it should have been me. That should have been Ali's storyline. Should have been me. The whole storyline with Kofi going on to Mania, Ali should have been jealous, turn heel. It should have been me. So, but very smart, Gordon. You're right. Should have been his storyline. Oh, excuse me. What am I? Brain farts. Shelton and Cedric are tag champions. Duh. You know why I completely forgot? Because of all of this disarray in the storyline with Shelton and Cedric. I mean, I understand this is to hype up the Royal Rumble, but are you agreeing with me that Shelton and Cedric are going to lose the tag titles and they're going to kick Cedric Alexander out of the Hurt Business? Because that's what it kind of feels like for me.
You think they're already going to start breaking apart the Hurt Business already?
Yeah, it feels like it. I mean, they've been planting this seed.
Falling apart. I don't know if it's ready for that yet, though. That seems like that's such a far enough time away. I don't know if they're going to break them up already. I'm not in favor of that. You might be right. I'm just saying I'm not in favor of it. So.
Yeah, British Bulldog, epic fail on your attempt to troll. So the Hurt Business, I could honestly, you know why I didn't think about them tonight? Because they wrestled in a 6-man tag, and yes, they are the tag champs, and I still think they've been, put it this way, they've been planting this seed of Cedric and Shelton not getting along for about 5 weeks now. You don't do that much just for the Royal Rumble, because Cedric ain't winning the Royal Rumble, and neither is Shelton Benjamin. So the big question is, who's going to take the tag titles off of them? And then what happens with this not on the same page? This almost feels like Angel Garza and Andrade all over again. Just the only thing is, you only had Zelina Vega out in the group, and here you got MVP and Lashley also in the group.
Right. So
I don't know. We'll see what happens. But Alexa Bliss doing a playground thing with Asuka. This was the setup for the god awful stuff later on. Asuka. I stand in the corner. Petrified as fuck. And then, Asuka's trying to put Alexa Bliss at ease. The Fiend is still here. Don't say his name. And Asuka almost lost her shit. And then the funny thing is, they had a cable pulling so the rocking horse could rock back and forth. And if you notice, when Alexa Bliss goes to the rocking horse, she climbs over the cable so she wouldn't trip on it. But I thought that segment sucked. That was the preface of what we were getting in the main event tonight.
Wasn't good. It really wasn't good. I mean, it was they were trying to set up the fact that, once again, Asuka's terrified of Alexa Bliss, and I don't even see it. And then, of course, in the middle of this, too, she's talking to Bray Wyatt, saying that he should be here right now. And, oh, don't mind Asuka. She didn't mean to say that. Meanwhile, Asuka's out there dancing and pretending she's scared and doing stupid shit. Like, this was embarrassing for a woman that's the representative of as the company champion and kind of the roster's badass for the most part, doing tricks because she's afraid that Alexa Bliss is right. It's just
She looked like a hoppity horse. Then we get Shayna Baszler, teasing the dissension before the match. Her and Nia Jax in the back with her segment. And then Shayna beats Mandy Rose, as we said before. 3-minute squash. And then after the match is over, Shayna and Nia are arguing outside the ring and, trying to tease that dissension. Nia's on commentary during the whole match, and she's kind of like, I get to do my own thing and this and that. And then Dana drop kicks Nia into Shayna for some reason, pulls Mandy Rose and pulls her out of the ring as if she was going to get attacked, which it wasn't. And another horrendous segment. And they're teasing more and more of Charlotte and Lacey Evans. They're teasing dissension between Nia Jax and Shayna. They're teasing dissension between Elias and Jackson Riker. They're teasing dissension between Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. They're teasing dissension over and over and over again, simply to try to make it seem, you realize we probably going to have a record number of tag partners eliminating each other in the Royal Rumble this year.
Right.
I don't
doubt it.
Yeah, and Soulfly Bimore, I agree with you 100%. The dialogue is too much. The Orton dramatic promo, it was good, but if you looked at what Alexa Bliss did later and Asuka, it's like, where does Randy Orton fit in all of that? Why is Asuka being dragged in? I understand they want to maybe do Asuka versus Alexa Bliss for the title, and especially after getting that win tonight. You don't have Alexa Bliss beat the women's champion and not follow it up with something else. But where does Randy Orton fit in all of this? If the Fiend does come back, does Randy Orton and Asuka have some interaction? That doesn't make sense because Randy Orton is the major heel over here. Randy Orton's a heel. Alexa Bliss is technically a heel. That's kind of like ass backwards. Think about that.
Bray Wyatt is a heel, though, too. Bray Wyatt
is supposed to be a heel. So
why
would you have Alexa Bliss and Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton being a heel? Somebody's got to be the babyface out of that. Nick?
I think with the Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt thing, it's kind of like choose who you like. Who's your face? Who's the right one? Clearly, Randy Orton is pushing his character to the edge, DT, so he's no longer – he might be considered better off as a tweener as opposed to a heel because he still won't attack Alexa Bliss. Now, there's more than a few reasons why Randy Orton should be just lividly whipping the shit out of Alexa Bliss, beating her like a government mule, as Jim Ross used to say. But he's not. So there's still some semblance of – I guess humanity to the character of Randy Orton, but as far as everything goes, he seems like a heel. Obviously, he has no problem beating up old folks, which is, another thing.
Yeah, what happened to all picking on all the legends? What happened to all of that?
Apparently it was Drew. See, we all had a massive acid flashback, and apparently when we saw Randy Orton kicking the shit out of all the old people, it wasn't Randy Orton. It was Drew McIntyre. Goldberg cleared that up.
Speaking of Goldberg, I know we're skipping through one part, but we had David Krumholtz, who is an actor playing Drew McIntyre today. A little bit out of shape, let's be honest. Miz and Morrison, they teased, was going to interview Goldberg. I honestly didn't know what we were going to get. I didn't know if Goldberg was going to be there or not, but we got Gillberg instead of Goldberg. Again, it was nice to see Gillberg. Just had a heart attack 6 weeks ago. 61 years old. If you look at him wrestling in 1999 and today, with the exception of the goatee change in color, he looks exactly the same. I mean, it was nice to see him. The segment, to me, kind of fell flat. The whole trick of the segment, or the whole point of the segment, is to make fun of both people in the ring because they're both supposed to be baby faces. And The Miz is teasing that when everything is said and done, he's going to cash in, and he's The Miz, and he's next to be champion. So that tells me that The Miz will get involved in Drew versus Goldberg, and who knows? Maybe Goldberg hits a spear, Miz shows up, cashes in a briefcase, and Drew McIntyre claymores Miz, gets the pin, so Drew McIntyre retains without pinning Goldberg. That could be what ends up happening.
Could be.
So, but I didn't think this segment was that bad.
No, it's not bad. Seeing Miz involved into the main event, that's perfectly fine. I like Miz, so him getting his shot in there makes sense.
Yeah. As of right now, I don't think Miz or Morrison are in the Rumble, but anything is possible. Speaking of the Rumble, we had AJ Styles. Excellent match with Ricochet. Give me more of that, please. I mean, Adam Pearce was there. Ricochet thanking him for the opportunity. But again, you needed that to explain why Ricochet's not in the Royal Rumble. But they had an awesome match. Absolutely loved it. AJ Styles winning with the Styles Clash. Ricochet, obviously, they kind of diverted with that storyline with Ali a little bit. So I don't know where this leaves Ricochet right now. Unless Ricochet maybe ends up turning soon. I don't know. But now Ricochet, it feels like he's in mud. What would you do with Ricochet at this point? Because right now it feels like he's in mud.
He is mud. He's bland. He's literally taking up space. He's taking up time. AJ and Amos are far more entertaining. These you can't have AJ lose to somebody like Ricochet. Ricochet just, I don't know, man. I would waste that time with somebody that can actually use it at this point. Ricochet is he's not a focal point for me when I watch Raw. Is he for you?
I really enjoyed that match. I wouldn't mind seeing it again.
His matches are good, but there's nothing to his character. What is Ricochet? Me and Joe did a bit like 2 weeks ago. Like, what is Ricochet's gimmick? What is Ricochet's character? What is he? I don't even know what the hell Ricochet is.
Just talented wrestler. That's all I can think of. It's true, man. It's true. Yeah. It's funny. They did that.
I'm not saying he's not. I'm saying that there's just no point to him. Like, even his drive. Like, there's no drive to the guy. There's no point to him.
My God, you see some of his work in Japan. I mean, the guy is amazing.
Yeah, that's a different place, different character. I'm just specifically talking about WWE. I'm not saying that the guy is a bad guy. I'm not saying that he doesn't have great matches. I'm just saying in WWE, what is he?
Yeah,
nothing.
Good point.
He's nothing. He's literally nothing. People that WWE don't use anymore, people like even Aleister Black, at least have a gimmick. Ricochet has nothing. Literally nothing. This guy is a caw. He's a creative wrestler. He's as generic as they come.
Caw. Broken record, I know. We're going to end up going about 5-10 minutes over, everyone. But
sure.
We're almost
Sorry
done.
about that. I know.
No, it's okay. It's all right. It's mostly my fault. Jeff Hardy over Jackson Riker. The story of this, we had a backstage segment with Elias telling Jackson Riker, pretty much like, why didn't you help me last week? Jackson Riker's like, you told me not to help you. Doesn't that feel an awful lot like Chad Gable and Otis? When I tell you don't do something, I'm really telling you to do something. It's what Mish and I have been pointing out for the last 6 months. You have duplicate storylines and segments happening on both shows, just tweaked a little bit differently. That is the same exact thing with Otis and Chad Gable. And tonight you had the opposite. You had Jackson Riker in there, and Elias, was not going to get involved until Elias got involved and caused the DQ finish. and
Right.
teasing a little dissension there because of the Royal Rumble. And to me, it's just, it feels lazy. I mean, I defend Bruce Pritchard a lot. I like Bruce Pritchard, but some of the stuff is great. Some of the stuff is awfully lazy. So, we had Matt Riddle in the Lucha House Party versus Cedric, Shelton, and Lashley. Almost the same thing. Point in this match, Shelton and Cedric not getting along. You know, at one point it felt like they were giving Shelton a little bit of a lesson, you know, stop with your shit. Then towards the end of the match, you know, Lashley's getting pissed off at Shelton and Cedric, and he's like, fuck this, tags himself in the ring, basically throws the Hurt Lock onto one of the members of the Lucha House Party and gets the submission, and then, you know, just basically, fuck this, and I'm going to take care of business. And trying to tease dissension in Hurt Business. It's over and over and over. I'm telling you, I think next week we're going to see a tease. Only if Charlotte and Asuka have to do with the Royal Rumble in some way. They're going to tease a little dissension with them. I can almost guarantee you're going to tease a little dissension with Peyton Royce and Lacey Evans. So
it's too much. Look, there's no problem with the dissension with tag teams, but for all of it to happen at the same time, I mean,
it's awfully
everybody
forced,
just this unhappy in the company.
Yeah,
is that what it is, DT? Everybody's just universally unhappy in the company with everybody they work with.
They should be happier now than they were 8 months ago.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, so AJ Styles is already in the Rumble. Next week we'll have pretty much the list, the updated list. We'll do predictions next week as well. Then the main event, which we opened up the show with, there's really not much to add to it. It was just, in my opinion, and I think in your opinion, it was awful. It was awful to see Asuka almost mesmerized. And like you said, all it was Alexa Bliss. Even when Alexa Bliss went upside down in the corner, it just looked like Alexa Bliss, she was like hi. And Asuka acted freaked out like she saw a monster. You know, at least do a pre-recorded segment and maybe Alexa Bliss's, the color of her eyeballs changed. You know what I mean? Like something like that. Like something weird changed with Alexa Bliss, and maybe Asuka's like, whoa, fuck this, you know? But to just have Asuka mesmerized like that, it's just a hard sell for me. It was awful. WWE, I think, rolled the dice a little bit too much with this, and I'm telling you, this one's going to bite them in the ass. I don't know what kind of rating it's going to have, but if it drives to an awful rating, it just shows you that the fans... Look at last week. They were hyping up Triple H versus Randy Orton in hour 3. The drop between hour 1 and hour 3 last week was huge. Fans just did not give a shit about seeing Randy Orton and Triple H in a street fight. And they were smart to know that it was going to end in bullshit. So that's how Raw completed tonight. You know, overall, like you said, maybe a B for effort, but kind of a C- in execution. I don't know if you feel that's fair.
No, that's perfectly fair. I agree with you. They definitely tried. Like I said, they did pull out some unique stops tonight. You got to see a couple of faces you don't normally see. So, I mean, as far as the overall show goes, they tried. But, you know, we're left with a lot of odd storylines and odd matchups and a lot of just a direction of the show right now that you're not really sure where they're going to end up. Royal Rumble's around the corner. So I'm glad that they're finally recognizing that, and they're recognizing the fact that WrestleMania is around the corner too. So good for them for finally doing that. But yeah, I don't know. This is kind of like a give and a take show. There was some parts of tonight's Raw that were absolutely fun to watch. There was a lot of other stuff that was just clearly filler and just going through the motions. But yes, Dylan, Stitches the rapper, Brick in Your Face got yes. I still do listen to him. I thought you were kidding when you asked me that question the first time. But yes, I still do listen to him. I haven't really caught any of his new work, But yeah, Stitches is still fun to listen to. He's crazy as fuck. What do you want?
Cool. By the way, I forgot to tell everybody.
To ask that again, that's funny, man.
For you out there that actually do like Charlotte Thursday for the show, I'm going to be giving away this if anybody's interested. It's, I think, 11 by 13. It's not an 8 by 10. I think it's 11 by 13. I know some of you out there immediately going to get triggered when you see this saying, wait a minute, Bayley is the first ever Grand Slam champion. Well, WWE doing a little bit of revisionist history because, as you could see over here, at one point, WWE considered Charlotte a Grand Slam champion as of 2017. That is autographed by Charlotte Flair. It is JSA authenticated, as you could see, so it is legit. And I will send it also in the hard protective packaging. So somebody's going to win that Thursday. It's going to be the Who Am I contest like we did last week. So somebody on Thursday is going to win that. So everybody is welcome to take part. And we had a fun one Thursday. And I went through 10 hints before somebody finally picked the right answer, which was Greg the Hammer Valentine. I think it was Mike that got it. So Greg the Hammer Valentine was the answer last week. But anyway, before we go, we got to mention this because a lot of people wanted our thoughts on it. There's a lot of shit going on right now back and forth with Ryback and Mark Henry. You know, this is a really difficult, stand to take on this because Mish and I are fans of Mark Henry, but we're also fans of Ryback. Basically, what happened was the WWE on Fox Twitter account put up a tweet the other day and said, who is the best superstar to never win the WWE Championship? Ryback goes on that Twitter and responds with a tweet and writes, and I quote, "Wrestling is fake, guys, and the championships are props to market entertainers as champions. No one has actually ever won or lost a prop, as scripted physical entertainment is incapable of that. This tweet explains so much, though, on your TV deal with them." So that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way because Ryback has his views on WWE. And Mark Henry was the first person to really get vocal about it. So Mark Henry, long story short, appeared on Busted Open Radio twice. First time he appeared was in response to what Ryback's tweet was. And Mark Henry said, and I quote, "A lot of Ryback's peers look at him as difficult. A lot of his peers looked at him as dangerous. And yes, we talked about it on the show all the time. WWE's a show. It's sports entertainment. It's a reflection of sports. He doesn't use the term fake. The championship is the championship. It's not a prop. Ryback is wrong. I've been a world champion in 3 sports, and I consider pro wrestling one of those." He goes on to say, Ryback can't take away what I achieved. There's no way that your bitter ass, and I'm talking to you, Ryback, your name is not Ryback. I don't even know what your real name is. Skip, whatever it is, you're wrong. Every wrestler that sees your face should walk up to you and say, "Hey, you're an asshole." And I hope you know how to fight for real because you know, and I know there's a lot of people that will whoop your ass. It goes on and on and on and on.
I love Mark Henry. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so Ryback responds to that. He says that John Cena didn't want to work with him, that a WWE producer called Mark Henry, I think, a fat piece of shit. And, it's just a lot of back and forth and back and forth. So Ryback then goes on Twitter and writes a little bit of a long statement. I'm not going to read it all, but I'll just read you a couple of sentences. All right. This is what Ryback says. And I think it's very important that I read this part because I want people to understand the order of how everything went down. Ryback says this, and I quote, "I have nothing but love for the wrestling business. I made the decision at 22 years old to drop out of college to pursue my dream, which was WWE. I walked away at 34 years old to save my health. It would be very easy to get upset at Mark Henry's comments and engaged in back and forth bickering. But the moment I do, this turns into something I said I would never do and make it against me and WWE wrestlers. My issues are with the WWE, and Mark mostly likely is unaware of that. The tweet Mark is referring to is, yes, a sarcastic tweet of Fox not knowing wrestling was entertainment, and yes, the word fake was used. Could have been said differently? Absolutely. But in 2021, where every podcast exposes the business just talking about it, including the show Mark is a part of, and organizations selling tickets to let fans see how the magic works, along with other things letting the fans in on. And he goes on to say, I've held the championship at WWE and never felt I won it. There's a lot of realism in the work and sacrifice that goes into being a pro wrestler. I had to walk away from needing a 5-disc fusion and shoulder replacement. And he also says that WWE never helped him. You gave him zero help with the injuries that were caused because of what he was doing. He says that he's dealt with WWE pushing out false narratives from the start. And he says that his comments on wrestling are his views. And basically what Ryback is saying is, look, my bitterness is with WWE. I had a lot of injuries. I had to walk away from it because of my health, and WWE did nothing. So off the record for me, Ryback's got some serious, deep issues with WWE, and I don't wrestle for them. And if this man had all those injuries because of that, and WWE would, however they treat him, I think he has a right to pick a gripe with them. Problem is, I think, is he does it so openly that it just feels like he's just, using every opportunity to rip WWE. But I don't think that that Ryback was wrong in what he said. So just to finish this up, Mark Henry goes back on Busted Open today, and this is what he said. Even when I was working with people like Ryback, I could take a nap and be better than a motherfucker any day of the week. At WrestleMania, when some agent said supposedly, yeah, okay, I believe that shit, I'm the shit, so let me see. After you left, the guy you said, John Cena, will probably make a statement about how when he first got into wrestling, who did he ride in the car with? Mark Henry. Who was the guy that went to the office and said, you all need to hear John Cena, he can rap? Mark Henry. And he goes on and says, fuck you, Ryback. You're trying to tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about, that I'm not great, that I was the shits. You're throwing it on an unnamed agent. Say his name. You threw it on Cena, so name the agent. Call him and we'll get him on the show, and I'll say, listen, did you tell Ryback I was the shits and I was famous for taking naps? I take naps every day. There's nothing wrong with it. It's great. Vince McMahon himself has ribbed me, poured water on me while I was sleeping. And then he says that you can post as many videos as you want, but it's not the real thing. Until you walk up to me and punch me in my face, the world will not know how violent I can be. So if you're feeling froggy like that, let me know when I need to get a plane ticket to, and I'll show up for that one, because even at 50 years old, I'm still more man than most men ever want to be in their dreams. And he talks about how he always tried to take chicken shit and turn it. So
it's a bit. It's a bit.
You think it's a bit?
Look, it's a total bit, dude. Look, okay. It was interesting to see Mark Henry's first response and then to see where Ryback went with it. But when he finished it up with, yeah, but you know what? I'll take that plane ticket. Me and you can meet one-on-one, and we'll fight, and we'll bring all the people onto the radio show. Look, I love Mark Henry. Mark Henry is a regular for Busted Open Radio. If you listen to Busted Open Radio, you probably heard Mark Henry on there. He's fantastic.
Yes.
And Ryback is smart too, okay? Now you're talking about two people involved in the wrestling industry having a match I'm just saying.
I didn't get that. I honestly think that Ryback pushed the right buttons on Mark Henry, and Mark Henry tried pushing them back on Ryback, and successfully so. I personally think this is what I take from it. Ryback, look, it's very easy for you and I to read on a piece of paper about someone having fusion surgery and vertebrae issues and this and that. When you deal with pain that you can't sleep and you can't do certain things,
I'm not doubting his pain.
I know. But what I'm saying is that because those injuries are legit. If Ryback has that real deep disdain for WWE because this is how he ended up afterwards.
What the story was about. The story was about which wrestler never had a world championship title on Fox. And it started off with Ryback saying, well, how can you award a prop? He's not wrong. And Mark Henry turns around and goes, well, that prop means a lot to a lot of people, and a lot of people have worked hard to get that prop. Mark Henry's not wrong. They're both not fucking wrong.
Yeah.
But when you start adding in the insults and everything else and come on my radio show, I'm just saying, it seems like,
I don't think it was scripted, but I think they're taking their wrestling their wrestling livelihood and commingling it with real life. I'll give you a good example. And I'm not trying to put it on us. But when Bully Ray, when I was having issues with him many years ago, and he legitimately wanted me to go to Florida and confront him inside the ring, which was legit, did I ever think in a million years that Bully Ray was going to beat the shit out of me? No, I don't think so. Because legit, me, if I got my ass kicked, I take it. I don't call the cops. I don't, that's not me. I don't want to get my ass kicked, obviously. But would I have been humiliated and embarrassed? Sure. My point is that it's not going to get to a point where people are going to start punching each other out. Did I ever think that Jim Cornette was going to knock out Vince Russo? No. Did I ever think Eric Bischoff was going to knock out Vince McMahon in 1998? No. I think deep down inside, these guys know they're not literally going to kick each other's ass because somebody will get arrested. And I don't think any of them are going to want to alter.
About guys like Jim Cornette and Vince Russo, don't compare to the testosterone behemoths.
Yeah, there's a lot of testosterone between Mark Henry and Ryback.
Right. So. You're talking about different level guys. That's why I think I don't know, man. It's difficult for me to believe.
Yeah, I think both have legitimate points. Ryback, it's a lot deeper because of injuries. Mark Henry, it's deeper because,
he's a lifer.
He's a lifer.
Lifelong WWE guy. Yeah.
So I personally think that, in my opinion, the WWE on Fox's tweet is almost like Sports Illustrated's top 10 list that didn't have Asuka on it. That's directed towards wrestling fans. They're trying to be Pro Wrestling Illustrated from 30 years ago, where even though a lot of people knew the cat was out of the bag, they're trying to direct the audience that still refuses to believe the cat is out of the bag. And the thing is that, yes, every podcast exposes the business, sure. But for WWE on Fox's Twitter account, they're trying to act like the cat is not out of the bag. And for some people, that's why those out there, I think maybe some wrestlers should just ignore Twitter accounts like that. So bottom line is, I'm sorry if this disappoints people out there. We're not ripping on Ryback. We're not ripping on Mark Henry either.
No, I'm not ripping on either of them. I think things are settled. If they have a match, which I could see them doing some kind of a match. I know Mark Henry's huge into fucking charities. So maybe you could do something like that. Maybe there's a spot for Mark Henry and Ryback to settle the score once.
I have an idea. I have two legit ideas. For real. I have two legit ideas. One of them, arm wrestling contest. Or some type of food contest. Ryback loves to shovel the food. He eats, I mean, God bless him, and Mark Henry also loves to eat too.
Yes.
I say
Henry used to be a competitive bodybuilder, which is pretty much the same level as a competitive eater too. So yeah, that would be actually, you know what, as silly as it sounds and as goofy as you could make it, Ryback versus Mark Henry in an eating contest would kind of be fucking interesting.
Yeah. See this meter? Sorry, I always got to do opposite. See where it says here, like, I don't give a shit? The meter, if there was any way I could change it on the shirt, yeah, I do give a shit. I actually would love to see that. Let them have like some type of contest.
Right. You could do hot dogs. You could do something good. You don't have to make it. Could be fucking steaks,
sliders.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, probably nothing with that many carbs. You probably want pure protein for those guys, man. They're gonna be fucking animals, dude. You got to bring over live cows and shit and just start roasting in front of them. You know, it's got to be something you
look. They could even make like a gallon of protein drink, and whoever downs it first is the winner. Seriously. I mean,
yeah, but I'm talking about amount. Yeah, downing something first doesn't matter. It's amount. You know, you start giving these guys 64-ounce steaks.
You know what? Let them do the one-chip challenge. Even though I know Ryback did it already, let him do like the one-chip challenge or do a couple of different challenges and see which one caves first. I'm telling you, I hope this gets back to him because I do know that sometimes he checks out the stuff that we do. I hope this gets back to him, seriously. Maybe there could be some good come out of it, especially after all the shit that's been going on.
They're both competitive. They're both bodybuilders. You know, I mean, they're both weightlifters. Like they both come from obviously on different sides of the coin, but they come from the same style. And I have no doubt in my mind that obviously a guy who coined Feed Me More and a guy like Mark Henry, who's won countless titles outside of wrestling for weightlifting, could probably put on a clinic when it comes to eating food.
Sure. James Pasco, sorry if that disappointed you, but that's the reason why a lot of people out there, are blocked by tons of accounts, and that's why a lot of people are unblocking, our accounts. Because we try to be a little bit reasonable out of it. We're not going to just be like throwing darts. It's funny when people throw serious shade at people on social media, and then they get blocked, and then they run and tell everyone, look, I got blocked from this asshole because, maybe you maybe some of the things you said first caused it. I love the people who say that it doesn't bother them when they're blocked by people, but then have to remind you every 3 days that they've been blocked by those people. That's when you know that it really gets under their skin. So, but James is good people, by the way. I don't want anybody in the chat to fuck with him.
Yeah, but, James, wake up.
Yeah, Jesus wake Christ. Up. Wake up. Hey, that was Ryback's catchphrase. Wake up.
It's only 1 a.m, guy. Come on.
Yeah, so we're going to get out of here. Like I said before, everybody, it is a very big day for yours truly, as you can see. Yes. I blocked out the appointment number because I don't need anybody to call New York State and say, yeah, check out this appointment number. My name is Anthony de Blasio. I want to cancel my COVID appointment. I also blocked out the location because I don't need anybody to show up and throw eggs at me or worse. And but I will definitely be showing everybody my card tomorrow after I get it. I will let everybody know tomorrow on Patreon. I'll talk about it. And yes, I will talk about it later this week on the other shows. So if you're not going to join me, and I hope to God everything goes well, especially for my mom and my dad. So
they'll be fine. You guys will do well. You'll get the vaccines. You'll go home and you'll be very happy. So
talk to you tomorrow night.
See you, everybody.
Take care.
Peace. Or something.
All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Like I say, as always, if you really enjoyed the show, you'll help us a lot by throwing that like button on before you go. That tells YouTube you recommend the show, and it will pop up as recommendations for others. I'm starting to get into the analytics, and it explains to me. It shows me how many people tune into the show because of a recommendation from YouTube or something else. So that helps. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. This way you're alerted whenever we do shows. And, we definitely want to get to 18,000 by WrestleMania, which I think is definitely doable. So, but I'm going to get out of here. I have to still get this online, type up some timestamps, and hopefully, squeeze in a good night's sleep. So everyone, stay safe as always. Be careful. I'm a little concerned of what's going to happen Wednesday with this inauguration, throughout our country. I don't know. I think other countries will be a lot more reasonable about what's going on. But just stay safe, be strong, and hopefully the worst is over for all of us. And, I will definitely let everyone know. A lot of people have been asking me to vlog my whole experience about getting this. I don't think I'll be doing that, but I will definitely talk about it. Thursday will probably be the better show. Talk about it a little bit if you want me to discuss it. That'll give me 2 days after getting it, so I can let you know any side effects that I get. And if you're on our Patreon, patreon.com/DonTony, Mish and I will be on at 8 o'clock tomorrow night Eastern. And you'll get a first-hand account, But, all right, everybody, I'm out of here. Much love as always. And I will catch you all again either tomorrow on Patreon or Wednesday after Wednesday Night Dynamite. And no bullshit. Those balloon shots to my face before, they sting like a mofo. But it's all good. It's all good. Hope everybody had a good time tonight. And in the comment section, anything that we talked about, post, because I respond to everybody now. I'm staying on top of that. I like mingling with all of you out there, and don't ever be afraid to disagree with us. We do not snap, if you notice. So, all right, everybody, much love. I'll catch you all again either tomorrow or Wednesday. Stay safe and be strong. Take care, everybody. Ciao.